What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to the Den. I'm your host, Ed Honcho. Hey, make sure you tune in live every night, 10 p.m. Central to midnight, as we discuss these topics live. Be a part of the conversation. You can call in and share your thoughts live on the air with Ed Honcho and the Den folk. This is something we got to talk about, people, because this is a very dangerous situation. But make sure you're following the Den on all the proper social medias. At Den Show Live on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow my personal social medias, it's at Ed Honcho HTX on Instagram and Twitter. Look, this is dangerous, okay? So what has happened is a few, what they call extremist leaders have been banned. We know the name You Can't Speak, otherwise you get thrown in a can with him. Jones and a couple of other gentlemen, Farrakhan, Milo, I think Paul Joseph Watson is who I've heard a little bit, but I'm not familiar with, and a couple other people, man. So let's talk about why this is dangerous and why this is a big problem, even if you do not agree with these people's views. What you have to understand here is that, especially in the Den, everywhere else maybe not so much. If you've been here long enough, if you've been on the live, you know I'm a firm believer in free speech. Whether you agree or disagree, you should understand the people in the society in which you live and understand why they feel the way that they do. And when you do certain things on the internet, like try to ban people, that only makes more people gravitate to them. When you try to say, hey, don't do this or don't do that, it only makes more people look at it, more people pay attention as to what's going on. So let's kind of talk about it. We're going to read an article and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. This took place, well, Thursday, today's Friday, but whenever you watch this, it could be any day, who knows. But I'm going to talk about why this is very important, and this is not a win for people who think that they are banning hate speech. So let's just kind of get into it. And this came from the Houston Chronicle, but I believe they took it from the Washington Post. Shout out to the Houston Chronicle. Shout out to H-Town. Wrong. There we go. All right. So it says Facebook bans extremist leaders, including Farrakhan, Jones, Yiannopoulos, for being dangerous. Let's talk about it. Facebook, I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm just going to kind of skim through it. Facebook said Thursday permanently banned several far-right anti-Semitic figures and organizations, including Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, InfoWars host Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, Laura Loomer for being dangerous. Again, you should always be allowed to hear what people think. Here's the deal. If people believe a certain thing, they're going to believe it, whether you ban it, whether you allow it, whatever it is, that it's already in their mind. That's why they gravitate towards these people. Facebook said it's going to remove accounts, fan pages, groups affiliated with these individuals, both Facebook and its sister site Instagram, after it reevaluated the content they said it had posted previously. Examine their activities outside of Facebook. Interesting. So it's not even necessarily what to do with Facebook itself, it's what's going on outside of Facebook. So now, even though you may have a particular message that you follow the rules and guidelines on such a big tech site like Facebook, you know, if you're saying something they don't like elsewhere, now they're going to start getting rid of you. And the thing that I don't know if it says in this article, but we're going to get further down to it. I know they really took a super hard stance against Jones and Farrakhan on Instagram. You are allowed to post things that condemn these people, but you're not allowed to post things or reshare anything that they have created. So you can't link to any of their stuff. It'll be removed, and then if you do it too many times, you'll get banned. So you'll be banned for sharing these views, and what that does is that further creates these echo chambers in which people get to regurgitate a particular idea. And it bans people who may think differently. Again, you know, what is it, 2019? We're about 35 years late, but 1984 is here, it's coming, or it's actually here. And this is just the beginning. And like I say, these are just the first few names. They're gonna test the response from this, and don't be surprised if you see several more of these things happen, because they deem it as hate speech, or they deem it as whatever. Hey man, look, if you ain't fucking with me, I don't really give a shit. I'd rather know than not know, so I know, you know, exactly who I'm fucking with. We talk about this time to time, covert versus overt. And like I said, I'm about free speech because I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say, you know, and I want you to be able to say what the fuck you want to say, and so I can continue saying what the fuck I want to say. So this bothers me because there may be views here. I've been called a lot of things for not having what you would say the mainstream media's views in particular. or disagreeing, not insulting anyone, not even using, derogatory names or anything like that. I've been called transphobic, homophobic, and all kind of things that, because I don't necessarily agree with certain behaviors, or I don't necessarily agree wholeheartedly with actions done by people of those orientations, and we'll get further into it. So the rule also pertains to at least one of the organizations run by these people, Jones InfoWars. So we've always banned individuals or organizations that promote or engage in violence, hate, regardless of ideology. The process for evaluating potential violators is extensive. It is what led us to our decision to remove these accounts today. Now, Jones went through some shit like last year, a few months back or whatever, where they were just basically banning him for everything. People were calling for his head on everything. And it's really this daycare generation. Because if you say something that they don't like or they can't dispute, then they just start crying. The loudest child gets the attention in the daycare. And so, or these parents who raise these spoiled kids, because you're seeing it's so much more prevalent these days. When it's very easy to just not pay attention, right? It's very easy to just say, well, I don't like what they're talking about over there. Let me go look at something else that I favor. Go to your echo chamber. I mean, that's fine and dandy. But anyway, social network for years has resisted taking a more aggressive stance on extremism. It's under massive pressure globally to curtail the ways in which its platform is used by hateful groups and individuals, most recently after massacres in Sri Lanka and New Zealand, where perpetrators use social media to spread their hateful messages. Timing is never an accident, said Angelo Carusone, president of Media Matters. Very interesting. A liberal organization that has long advocated for more enforcement against white supremacy, and is one of the group's Facebook briefed on the decision. And again, like I said, there's definitely a hard liberal lean. There is a anti-conservative stance on a lot of this, and I think that's very unfortunate because, again, you need both sides of the argument. And what you're going to do is you're going to drive more people to see, well, why are they doing that? People who may be more in the middle are going to question why you're siding with one particular side and you're trying to push the other one out. What is the message that you're trying to hide? Is it necessarily hate speech, or is it something greater? The reality is people are getting killed. There are mass shootings, mass murders that are clearly connected to ideas like white genocide, which are fueling radicalization. The conditions have changed. When you have these massive catalytic moments that are connected to real life consequences, it puts pressure on Facebook and others to look in the mirror. It says Jones, speaking by phone from Austin, Texas, called Facebook's action authoritarian, said he learned about it by seeing a headline on the Drudge Report. They provided no direct notice, provided no evidence that he was dangerous. The company has alleged. It's a bizarre political stunt. They're trying to hide their censorship of conservative by mixing in Louis Farrakhan, Jones said, referencing Farrakhan's longtime association with the far left. He added, I'm not really worried about me. I'm worried about how authoritarian this is. I guess free speech in America is dangerous. It's comical. And I really feel that way. I really feel that way. It's a crazy face he's making. Yiannopoulos, in a Texas chamber, the Washington Post said efforts to squelch voices seen as extreme can lead to a broader crackdown on free expression. Read Orwell, Yiannopoulos text, invoking George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984. You're next. And again, listen, and here's what you got to understand, because what this does is, when you ban any competition, you ban anybody who has a different voice, who has a different belief than you, right? Okay, well, you get all of them out. Then what becomes extreme after that? Anybody with any kind of differentiating view? Anybody who may slightly think different? Because if they're not, in line and in step with everything that you're saying, now that's the extreme. When we get rid of all the people who, blatantly disagree, now anybody who's not blindly following everything we say, well, you're next. That's extreme. Any little thing is going to start becoming extreme. And that's what you have to be cautious and be careful of. And that's where this starts to get scary. Facebook is also banning Paul Nehlen, who describes as a pro-white Christian candidate when he ran for Congress. Also kicked off the website. It was also kicked off the website Breitbart News for ties to neo-Nazis and racist comments about Meghan Markle, and Paul Joseph Watson, a far-right YouTube personality and the editor of InfoWars, according to the InfoWars site. Facebook has previously imposed temporary bans on extremist figures, including Jones and Yiannopoulos, another right-wing social media star. Twitter acted more quickly and permanently suspending Jones, Loomer, and Nealon. YouTube also has a ban of Jones on his InfoWars channel. YouTube and Twitter now respond to requests for comments. Facebook and its counterparts have until recently largely resisted permanent bans, holding that objectionable speech is permissible as long as it doesn't bleed into hate. Facebook has also been wary of offending conservatives who have become vocal about allegations that the company unfairly censors their speech. This is true. These are things that are happening. It's not even unfairly. you look at these couple companies that run these sites, and you look into where the people who run these companies, what they support, and it's largely liberal. Said Facebook has really signaled it's willing to take stronger stance against white nationalism and white supremacy in particular. In March, the company said it would begin banning posts, photos, and other content in reference to white nationalism, white separatism, revising its rules in response to criticism that a loophole had allowed racism to thrive on its platform. Previously, the company had only banned the term white supremacy. Governments around the world are pushing Facebook to take down bigoted and other harmful content more quickly or risk being banned themselves. And that's really what it is. That tells you right there. That must be it's more of a business move than really concern. I mean, they're not dealing with it. They don't care. Were blocked in Sri Lanka in the wake of a massacre in response to government concern that social media could spread misinformation and further violence. Government of New Zealand is weighing stricter enforcement of social media in response to a mass shooting in Christchurch. Influenced by the white supremacy, he streamed the massacre live on Facebook. Meanwhile, Australia and United Kingdom are considering steep penalties for social media companies that do not quickly remove and reduce the distribution of harmful material, including violent content that spreads bigoted messages. This is more so about the spread of their business. This is more so about the spread of Facebook and their reach, if anything, as opposed to necessarily being concerned. But let's carry on. Over regulators over civil rights issues, Facebook has submitted a civil rights audit over the last year, announced sweeping changes to its targeted advertising instead of being sued by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which argued its software enabled discrimination. Others who were banned did not respond to requests for comment. Facebook said it began to re-examine the extremist figures last year. Some of the activities and posts of the company said it had reevaluated took place within the past 1 or 2 years. Let's just kind of skim down this. Jones, for example, who recently hosted Gavin McInnes, the leader of the Proud Boys on Facebook, that did a hate figure in December. Yiannopoulos publicly praised McInnes this year. Loomer appeared with him in a rally. Other cases, the company re-examined long-held stances by some of the individuals. Farrakhan, Facebook said, referred to Jews as termites earlier this year, called the religion dirty, liars, cheaters, thieves, held anti-Semitic views, and referred to Jews by negative terms for years, according to the SPLC. And like I said, it's just kind of talking about that he's a leading voice in spreading anti-Semitic ideas for more than 30 years, also railed against white people and members of the LGBTQ. It's all pretty despicable. His profile, his serial, he's just saying he's anti-Semite. Call for greater transparency for Facebook. It's an important step, but yet the proof is in the pudding. Bans are welcomed by civil rights activists who have long argued these individuals espouse violent and hateful views. Silicon Valley should not allow their platforms to become a vehicle for spreading them. Madiha, Hussein, or whatever. Special counsel for anti-Muslim bigotry with the advocacy group Muslim Advocates said that individuals like Loomer, Jones, Yiannopoulos have used the social media platforms to broadcast dangerous hate speech and conspiracies targeting Muslim Jews and others. We applaud Facebook for taking this step, basically. And that's about that. The rest of it is, I think, a bunch of ads. So, again, man, I want to know how y'all feel. I want to know in the comment section below, first and foremost, what you guys think. If you believe that, Facebook is doing the right thing by banning these guys, do you feel like their audience is going to grow? Do you think that people will rally behind them? Because ultimately, that's what happens when a lot of these people go and get banned. The people who support them, they step up their support a notch. And I think it's, like I say, to me personally, it's not that I agree with these people's views, but I like to, again, espouse my own views. I like to speak my own thoughts. And again, it's not always, like I say, in step with what the mainstream media, what most of society may want you to believe. But, people, the agendas that a lot of these people are pushing. And I guess it's a personal part of it, because I don't want my rights being stepped upon. I want to be able to say whatever it is that I feel, whether people agree or not. And when you shut off those voices, you don't allow people to combat those voices. So say you have a particular person on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. The people who are supporting this, they already believe this. They already believe it. It doesn't matter what these people are saying. They just further support it. But then it gives the chance to people who may be more aware or may disagree. It gives them the opportunity, to try to dispel the myths or whatever it may be in the comments or whatever it is. And somebody may read it and say, okay, well, reasonable people will, take note of that and say, okay, we'll prove it with facts or whatever, and then, it gives you the opportunity to engage in that conversation. Now, a lot of people who are just not reasonable, they're not reasonable. You're not going to have a conversation with them. Doesn't matter if it's banned, if it's allowed, anything. They're just unreasonable. People are unreasonable. Like I say, if you've been rocking with the live stream, some of you who've been here for a while, we've had a lot of conversations that I personally disagreed with. But I'm not blocking, I'm not banning. I want to hear what everybody has to say. I want to know why people feel the way they feel or why they disagree. I think that type of dialogue is necessary. And when you get rid of that conversation, when you remove that, it starts to form a problem. And now what you have is a soft side, of society who wants all these things enacted. They want all these bans. They want all these things removed. Because generally, it's not about what they're saying. It's about that they can't handle the argument. And again, this is why I say you see a lot of people are gathering to a particular side, and they feel like they're being oppressed. They feel like they're being restricted, and this only further proves the point. So again, I don't know if this was the right move, but I think it was more of a business move by Facebook than as opposed to them really having a lot of concern. But when you're banning one side of the argument, just so another side can thrive. I mean, here's my deal. You shouldn't, if you're going to allow posts to criticize these people, then you should allow posts for people who support these people. The thing about it is, if you're going to get rid of them, then you need to get rid of everything. So that means if people are going to criticize them, then those posts shouldn't be allowed either. I mean, if you're just going to ban the name, you're going to ban the whole association, then you need to remove all of it. I don't think that is adequate, because then again, like I say, you allow people to post a narrative about these people that may not necessarily be true, but you're going to allow it. I think that this is a very sketchy area. I think this is not even the beginning. I mean, when Jones got banned a while back, I think that was the beginning. I think this is just a further along in this current trend, and don't be surprised if you don't see a lot more of it. And we know that YouTube has had a history of suppressing certain things and leaning a certain way, and certain voices not being heard, and that's unfortunate. For those of us who really want us to truly have free speech, for us to really be able to speak our minds, to really address the issues that are going on. Because if you don't get to hear it from the people, if you're only listening to the media has a narrative and agenda that they're going to push to you. So if you don't get to hear it from the people, the real people in this country, and how they truly feel and why, then I think you're going to have a problem, because then you're going to have big companies, big media telling you how you should feel, what you should think. And I think that's much worse off than any individual who is speaking their mind about whatever causes, whatever thoughts they have on whatever these situations may be. But hey, man, that's just my opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, I'd love to know how you feel. Hit that comment section below. Like I said, we'll be live tonight, 10 p.m. Central to midnight. And the deadline will be open for your calls. We'll discuss this and several other things tonight. Make sure you're a part of the conversation, man. It's the best conversation on the internet. Again, whether you agree or disagree, all calls are welcome. You won't be shut out. You won't be shut down, harassed, or oppressed. But with that being said, I am your host, Ed Honcho. Again, I thank you. And I'll put a link to this article in the comment section below, so you can check it out for yourself and kind of see what's going on with this story. But again, I want to know how you feel. Do you think this is a dangerous trend, or do you think that this was a necessary move by Facebook? Do you think it was a business move? Do you think it was a true concern that they have, or they just thinking long-term longevity of the site? But with that being said, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. I'll catch y'all next time, man. Hey, it's your boy Ed Honcho, and I'm out.